Hi, and welcome to the Mindfulbellie Don't Eat Your Feelings podcast. I am Ellie, your host, and I'm so excited to get started because this podcast has been in the works for like a year now. And I think it was like perfectionism and procrastination that just kept me from actually going ahead with it. And I'm just really excited to just finally just whatever and do it because I want to be here for you guys and give you practical tools to help you become your healthiest self. So, a little bit about me. For those of you who don't know, I am a certified holistic health and weight loss coach, and I am here to give you practical tools to make being healthy work into your life. So, a little bit more about me. So, I used to be a chemical engineer for 4 years. That's what I went to school for. And if you would have asked me like 15 years ago if I was going to be a health coach, I would have shrunk back in shame, probably like wiping off my lips full of chocolate and sucking in a bloated belly and just like, what? No way. Because I was a complete sugar addict. So and a binge eater. Had a binge eating disorder and had a really toxic relationship with food. So my sugar addiction started from a young age, and I do not use the word addiction lightly. Like, this was real time. All I could think about all the time was constantly like, I'd be found. There's so many stories. I was found in my friends' pantries, like eating Rice Krispie treats, and pretty sure the only reason I did summer swim team in my childhood was because we get to like swim a lap and then eat Fun Dip and donuts and chocolate and swim another lap. And so it was just like, I feel like so many of my decisions through childhood and high school were based on, am I going to get my sugar fix or junk food fix? And it really didn't catch up to me until college, where I started to gain weight. So I gained 30 pounds in college and felt so shameful and gross in my body and was trying to do everything I knew to do to keep it off. Everything that were preached, count calories, eat less and move more. And yeah, that worked for like 4 days. And then I would end up waking up in a bed of Hershey Kiss wrappers or just binging on whatever. And the restriction and deprivation was so toxic for me. And then the weight kept coming on, and I was pushing against it and trying so much harder. And I was trying to starve myself. I attempted to try to make myself throw up, which was unsuccessful. And was feeling so out of control and just so I couldn't trust myself. It was like I'd commit to things and I knew I wasn't going to follow through because I was so hooked on these foods. And I felt so much guilt and shame in my body and just that I couldn't control it. And I just remember I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to put my clothes on, like get dressed, because I just felt gross. And being at that point was such a low, and it was just so much mental energy, like so draining. I remember it was like all I could think about was constantly thinking about food, was constantly thinking about my next meal, and was constantly thinking about, oh my gosh, I don't want to binge. I don't want to overeat. But it was like every time, didn't matter. I was overeating and like way beyond the point of fullness. I was using food to numb out. I was using food for comfort, for pretty much every emotion, and I didn't know how to stop. And it wasn't just the weight though. Then I started developing an autoimmune thyroid condition. So I was like losing hair. I was chronically fatigued. So I'd gone from this like hyperactive kid to someone who didn't want to get out of bed. And I brain fog and ADHD, I digestive issues, numbness in my toes, shortness of breath, all these symptoms kept adding up and up, and I didn't know what was going on. So I went to 6 different doctors, like a cardiologist, a gastroenterologist, like all these doctors, all of whom could not find anything really wrong. And they were just handing me prescriptions for things. I mean, doing the best they could, but just kind of like, oh, it's anxiety. Oh, it's acid reflux is why you can't breathe, and giving me prescriptions. And I didn't want a prescription. I wanted to know why. Like, why is all this happening? So I finally went to a naturopathic doctor, and she was the only one who asked me what I was eating. And at the time, I thought I was doing pretty well, despite my sugar binges, like the whole wheat bread and the low-fat yogurts and roly-poly every day, getting a wrap. And she knew pretty much instantly it was the food that was driving all of this. And so I found out I was sensitive to gluten, dairy, soy, and eggs. So I got off all of these completely for 3 months. And I really didn't feel that much better. And the reason for that was because I'd gone to allergy-free processed food. So that was like gluten-free cakes and brownies. And I was like, this is easy. I can do this forever because I was still getting my sugar fix. And that was it was like the thing that I knew, like if I really want to change, because then I'm gonna have to give up sugar. But it was so like that was so scary to think about because that was my life. Like that was everything to me. And my ego brain was like, hell no, we're not doing that. Anything else, like give me any other solution. But I think it's in those moments where you just know, it's like, this is the piece of the puzzle. And it was. I was able to, I committed. I remember having the conversation with my mom, and it was like, Ellie, you either do this or you can choose to just like live like this. It was like, the choice is yours. And so I committed, and I was able to I did the whole 30 for 30 days. The first time I epically failed. I didn't make it 24 hours. I ended up running to the Winn-Dixie and grabbing the Enjoy Life brownies and down the whole box. It was during final exams of college, and which was like, Ellie, why would you ever do it then? But so after the exams finished, I tried again, and I made it 30 days, and it changed my world. It was the first time in my life that I didn't crave sugar, and I did not think that was possible. I For anyone else who resonates with that, who's a chocoholic or a sugar addict or any food addict, like to be at the point where you don't crave that thing is just like, I seriously could not fathom that. And it was the first time in my life I actually felt satiated from food. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it's so true. Like I would feel physically full, like my belly would be so distended, but I was never like mentally satiated. Like mentally, I could always eat more and I always wanted more. The only thing that stopped me was like literally my belly was going to burst. And so having that feeling of like, wow, I'm not hungry. What? Like that was so new to me, and it was so game changing. And then after that, after those 30 days, I had lost like 15 pounds that first month. I never went back, and it's been 6 years now. And I've through that time been able to learn what foods are right for me. Like Whole30 for most people isn't Whole 365 or like whole life. It's really a starting point, and then learn what to add back, what you can add back in, what works for you, what doesn't. It's really experimenting. So I've done that and figured out, what really does work for me. And even through that, so that was like the first step for me. And then really the mindfulness. So that 30 days didn't completely cure my binge eating disorder, compulsive eating, because that was ingrained in me my whole life. I was reaching for food because I was sad, I was happy, I was whatever, and using food as a coping mechanism. And so that didn't change overnight. And that really truly changed with my coaching training, because after I had this, like broke through the sugar addiction and resolved my autoimmune condition through nutrients, or through like nutrient dense food and getting off inflammatory oils and all that. Like I kind of, and getting off sugar and the foods I was intolerant to, um, it, I just wanted to learn more. I wanted to understand the science and why, and just got fascinated with it and wanted to be able to help other people do the same, because it was so life-changing for me. And so that was the start of it. And so then I found the Health Coach Institute. At this time, I was a chemical engineer, found the Health Coach Institute, and through that coaching, really, that was a game changing in itself for my own health journey. Just learning the mindfulness tools, learning how to not binge eat, how to not compulsively eat, like that training, and training myself and learning mindfulness tools, and then really getting into that kind of research, like learning about the brain and practical tools to actually make it work. And I think as a coach, being able to help train someone else to do it or teach them these tools and watch them use it and just like completely transform their relationship with food is the most rewarding thing ever, because I know how compulsive I was and how helpless I felt and how out of control I felt. Like I didn't have choice. Like it was just like, this is with food, that to be able to help someone else do the same is just like, it's magic. And so that is what I wanted to create this podcast, to reach more people, to help you not only learn the right information about food, because there's so much misinformation, and I'm going to try to do my best to help you clear that up and interview experts on this podcast so that we can both learn together on topics that are groundbreaking right now, especially in gut health and longevity and, supplementation, and just so much. There's so much going on right now that's so interesting that I want to learn and teach you. And then the mindfulness tools part, really teaching you the practical tools that I use to overcome the sugar addiction and the binge eating, and that you can, that they're not hard, and it's just learning them and having the support to implement them is huge, and it's life-changing, because you deserve to show up each day as your best self. And I truly believe, I know for me and for my clients, like it does start with food, and it does start with learning mindfulness tools, which not only affect the way you eat, but really affect every aspect of your life, how you handle stress, your resilience, everything. And so I'm really excited to dive in, and I really appreciate you for listening. And if you resonate at all or like need help, again, I'm here. I work one-on-one with my clients. So if you're like, I love this podcast, which I hope you do, but if you need that extra support, like please reach out. I am here for you. Like I love helping my clients. So reach out. I do free strategy sessions. They're 45 minutes, and we really dive in and see, what you're dealing with and if we would be a good fit to work together. And then if you've got any ideas for the podcast, if there's stuff you want to learn about, like I want to know. So hit me up on Instagram. You can DM me at Mindfulbellie. That's MindFulBellie. Or you can email me at mindfulbellie@gmail.com. And again, that's like belly with the IE, with Ellie in it. And yeah, I'm so happy and so excited that you're listening. And thank you so much for everything. And reach out again if you need help. I am here for you.